Hey guys, welcome back. I've already taught you how to use import in the last chapter. In this chapter, we are going to see how we can call a function of an external smart contract from inside your contract. To demonstrate the process, I'll start by creating an empty file called callable.sol, and I'll create another file called calling.sol. You can already guess where this is going. The callable contract will have a function that we will call from calling contract. So just to get started, like before, like everything else, I am going to start by copy pasting the license and the pragma directive because I don't really want to type it out. Awesome. And then I can initiate the contract callable, and also contract calling here. Cool. Now going back to the callable function, the easiest thing I could think of is just have a state variable and write a getter function for it. We can just make the state variable public and the getter function will automatically be generated, but we do need a function to show you how this works. So I'm going to go along and write a getter function. So this is our state variable score, which is an unsigned integer of 256. And then I can write the getter function, this function get score. Okay. So this would be an external function because this would be called from outside from another contract. So we have to make this external. And this is a view because it really is not doing anything, just giving the state of the blockchain. And it returns an unsigned integer. Awesome. All it does inside is return score. That's all it does. Cool. So that's one function. And then let's talk about this calling contract, which will be calling this function of this callable contract. All right. So to do that, we can highlight a function call external, and it will be an external call because we'll be calling it from outside just to test it out. It's also a view because it's not changing any state and returns an unsigned integer. Now we cannot just call get score here. We just write get score here. This will fail. This will be an error. It's like, what is this get score? Where are you getting this from? They have no idea what get score is. So the first thing you have already guessed is use import. We will import the callable file. The moment we import this callable file, we'll have access to this file, the contents of this file, calling. So that works, but it's not really inheriting. We don't want to do inheriting. Inheriting is just one way of putting your code together, but that's not the only way. There are multiple ways of constructing your code, and this is another way that I'm showing you. So we are not going to say is callable. We'll just leave it blank. What we will show is to have access to the pointer to the callable contract from inside this calling contract. And to do that, we need the address where this callable contract got deployed. So we have to have a state variable where we can call it call address. And we can set this variable to the actual variable where it got deployed. Then we'll have a pointer to the contract. And then we can have a function that actually sets this address. We just simply call it set address. It will take address parameter. All right. This will also be an external call because this will be called from outside and it will not return anything. We can just call it call add actually. Much shorter name. So again, this address will hold the address where this callable contract got deployed to. And we're going to keep a copy of that. And as long as we have this address, we can actually create a pointer to that contract. So that's what we're going to do here. We already have access to the contents of this file. So if I say callable, it actually knows what I'm talking about. So let's call it callable, and we will name it callable. So this is the type, and this is the name of the variable. And this would be callable type, and we can just pass in the address call add. The moment we do that, callable is actually an instance of the contract. And once we have the instance, we can simply return callable.getScore. So once we have the instance, we can call all the functions of that contract. Now let's see and try and deploy this. The way to deploy this would be deploying the callable contract first and then deploying the calling function. So let's try and deploy this callable function first. So let's try and compile this. There are no errors. We can get rid of the old deployments and then deploy this. Awesome. We actually have the access to the address here. So I'm going to create a new window here. Okay, so let's copy paste this address to a text file where we can actually use it. All right, so that's where the callable function got deployed. And now I'm going to copy that. Just wanted to show you the full address. And then we are going to compile and deploy a calling function. So let's try and compile this. Again, there are no errors. And then again, we try to deploy this. Awesome. Oh, calling function, my bad. Okay, so the calling function got deployed here and callable function got deployed twice here. And we have copied and pasted the first instance. Any instance should work. The first thing we need to do is set the address of the callable function here. Copied it, and then we can check that it actually got set. Yeah, there it is. And now we can call the call external function, and it should behave the same way as this get score would. If I hit get score, I should get 20. And if I call the external call, it's actually calling the get score, so I should still get 20. There it is, and it works. So that's it for this class. I'll see you in the next.